The video is from MadSeasonShow, who is an absolutely amazing content creator for World of Warcraft, who I have seen. Actually, you know what? The other day, I was looking for information about one of the Burning Crusade time walking toys. I think it's the one that turns you into a broken. And I was looking for a video about that, and I think I had seen a video from MadSeasonShow from like a million years ago about it. Been around a long time. And MadSeasonShow made this video called Why World of Warcraft Has Become Toxic. Now, in my experience lately, I have had toxic experiences with people in dungeons and in random queues for sure. I already told you the story of Zepla from yesterday. Who was super mean. Super mean person who had kicked somebody in the group because we were in the Dawnbreaker dungeon and they glitched through the boat and died, and she kicked them for that, and everyone agreed. I didn't. I voted against, but you know, I was outvoted. And who was very upset at anybody for making a mistake, even though it was normal mode. So yeah, I've seen some of the toxicity in my hug experiences, but I have also, and I'm sure going to be talking about this throughout the video too, been having a really amazing time in WoW overall, because I've been doing most of the things that I want to do with guildies, or mostly guildies in the group. But I'm really curious. I respect his opinion, so I'd like to see what he has to say. This is from 2 days ago. I usually like to wait at least one day, preferably 2 days, before I watch a video that somebody's posted. So let's watch. Oh, is it muted? Oh, you're fighting the Lich King.
When discussing toxic communities, there are a handful of games out there that...
Can y'all hear him? He's a little quiet, right?
...immediately come to mind. League of Legends is almost universally recognized for its intense and sometimes hostile player base. It's a game where the competition is fierce and the stakes feel high, leading to interactions that are often less than friendly.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Call of Duty, another giant.
I'll tell you that League of Legends is the only game that I'm aware of where if I tell someone who likes to play League of Legends that I want to try League of Legends, they tell me don't. For every other game that I can think of where the person's like into the game and they play the game a lot and they like playing the game, and I say, hey, I'm thinking about playing that game you really like. Usually people are like, wow, that's amazing. I'd love for you to play that game with me. Not League of Legends. With League of Legends, the League of Legends players are like, please don't. Please don't, because I care about you and I don't become what I am.
In the gaming world is known for its cutthroat nature.
What the?
It's a game
Do I have my shirt on backwards? Oh my god. I've had my shirt on backwards this whole time.
Where players are often pitted against one another in highly competitive environments, and this too can lead to toxicity. And Counter-Strike, with its emphasis on precision and skill, has a...
Okay, man, he needs to speak up. I can't hardly hear what he's saying. Hold on. Let me turn it up a little bit. Let me bump him up a little bit. Okay.
Community that can be quite unforgiving to newcomers or those perceived
I gotta
as
stop messing with
less
it.
skilled. And then there's World of Warcraft, a game that's been around for nearly 2 decades with a community that's seen its fair share of ups and downs.
Yeah, true.
You find many websites that list these games as having toxic communities, but they often move on without much explanation. The goal of this video today is to go beyond the surface and to really explore and answer this question: why is World of Warcraft considered toxic what is it about this game that's cultivated such a reputation over
Okay.
its near 20-year legacy?
Why? Maybe because there's so many people playing it. This is my theory. There's so many freaking people playing it that statistically there will be a higher percentage of buttholes, because that's just how it works. When the more people that are in a place, the more buttholes they're going to be because of percentages and statistics. Yeah. Man, he sounds very serious. A long time ago in a galaxy far away. Hell yeah, Star Wars. Yeah. Phantom Menace.
New releases in the entertainment world are exhilarating. There's a certain magic to them,
This is
almost
intense.
an addictive quality that pulls you in and keeps you engaged. Getting caught up in the frenzy of a new phenomenon, whether it's a movie,
Oh, that's
TV
cool.
show,
Oh wow,
or
how'd she make her eyes glow like that? That's awesome.
video game, is an experience like none other. It's as if you're being whisked away to this new world, a new experience that feels fresh and
Let's throw
exciting.
dot.
The story progresses, new features are introduced,
Yep.
and mysteries that have been lingering on for years might finally be resolved.
Love
The
that
fan
shit.
base collectively gets lost in the unfolding narrative,
Yeah.
sharing the excitement and the joy of discovery. And it's this communal experience is what makes these releases so special.
Right.
But do you know what's also special? Shaving your balls with Manscaped, the global men's
Oh.
lifestyle brand that's revolutionizing the way that we think about men's grooming. I mean, when you've got the confidence of more than 10 million men worldwide, in other words, more than 20 million testicles shaved, you know they're doing something right. These communities may be toxic, but your crotch isn't, with the Performance Package
Oh my
5.0 Ultra,
Oh my
featuring
God.
the brand new Lawnmower electric trimmer, which takes grooming precision to a whole new level. This bad boy comes
Did
with
not
dual
see that
skin-safe
coming
blade
at
heads,
all.
an upgraded trimmer blade for those clean-cut moves, and an interchangeable foil blade that leaves you with a super smooth
Are you
and bare
serious
finish.
right now?
And with a bigger LED light and waterproof design,
This is the best
you're
segue
covered
I've ever
whether you're
seen.
in the shower or out. The Performance 5.0 Ultra package includes the Weed Whacker 2.0 for
The
easy
Weed
nose
Whacker.
and ear hair trimming. The kit also comes with the Crop Soother aftershave lotion and the Preserver anti-chafing deodorant. They're essentially
I'm afraid to ask. I should not ask. Are y'all shaving your balls? Like, please don't answer this. I'm sorry I asked. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I
world
shouldn't have
buffs
asked.
for your testicles.
Is this common? Do men shave their balls? I've never seen shaved balls in my life. Pass out. Sorry.
And don't forget the free gifts.
I
The Boxers 2.0 and
I'm so
the Shed 2.0 bag for ultimate
I'm so
comfort
sorry.
and
I'm so sorry.
organization. Get your Performance Package 5.0 Ultra today at
Oh my God.
manscaped.com with
Oh
my
my God.
code MSS20 for
Oh my
20%
gosh.
off, and also free shipping and these 2 free gifts. Your balls will thank you.
Is he doing that? I don't know. I don't
Anyways, few categories of entertainment deliver this feeling more intensely than the MMORPG.
Is that
Not
him?
the ball trimming. I'm talking about the excitement over this new experience. It is a genre where the allure lies in an online world that
my God.
isn't just yours, but is shared with countless others from across the globe. The world is persistent, it's always alive, with things happening in every corner, even when you're not logged in. It is this virtual reality that continues to exist and evolve.
Hell
even
yeah.
when you're
I love
not
virtual
present.
reality.
For some, it even becomes a second life, a place where they can escape from the stresses of the real world and immerse themselves in an alternate reality. Much like other forms of entertainment, the initial period after an MMO's release is dominated by the desire to experience the game rather than to achieve specific goals. This period is defined by what is called free play as opposed to instrumental play.
You need to have something like, I think that the escape that video games, especially virtual worlds like World of Warcraft, can offer people is potentially life-saving. And I think it offers something extremely beautiful that I have leaned on in the worst times of my life. These games for me have become a refuge for me in times when I felt I had nowhere else to go, when I felt I didn't belong anywhere. I found a place where I belonged, and I felt like I had people who understood me when, especially growing up, there were times when I felt surrounded by tons of people who didn't understand me. And there's also been times when I was traveling from place to place, and like after the war, I was extremely isolated for a very long time because I couldn't really settle. I couldn't make friends with anyone in real life. And so this entire time, I relied on virtual worlds to make connections and to feel, to socialize with other people. And it's because of that that I was able to not go crazy. I felt like I had people to talk to. I had a home to go to when I didn't have a home in real life anymore, you know? So for me, yeah, maybe there is a down. Maybe, of course, every coin has two sides, and the negative can be really bad. I mean, I've experienced the negative side of getting lost in escapism with games too. And you can go down a dark path there where you just totally disconnect from real people. And I've done that before. But I think all in all, I do think the good outweighs the bad.
In 1993, a German educational theory rather than to achieve specific goals. This period is defined by what is called free play as opposed to instrumental play.
It's rude to suck at Warcraft.
1993, a German educational theorist and psychologist, Wolfgang Iser, contributed to the understanding of these types of play within the context of child development and educational theory. He described free play as the most natural and uninhibited form of play. It's spontaneous, unstructured, and self-directed, driven by curiosity and imagination.
Okay.
There are no rules or objectives imposed by others. Only intrinsic motivation guides the activity. For instance, a child building a fort out of cushions and blankets isn't doing so with a specific goal in mind. There's no reward waiting at the end. The child is simply exploring, creating, and having fun, and lost in the joy of the moment. Instrumental play, on the other hand,
you could argue that the reward is making the fort. That's the goal. The goal is building the fort and having a fort. You know, have you built a fort lately? I did. It was awesome after I built the fort. So I had a goal in mind for sure. That was
is structured and goal-oriented. It often comes with external instructions or
But I hear what you mean. I see what you're trying to say.
Goal in sight, and while it can still be enjoyable, the focus shifts towards achieving a particular result, such as a classroom activity where children are tasked with solving a puzzle. The aim is to complete the puzzle correctly, which usually involves following rules and employing logic. So whereas the satisfaction from free play comes from participating in the activity itself, in instrumental play, it most often comes from the sense of accomplishment that follows achieving this specific goal.
This is
academic. Free play scene
is
crucial for holistic development. It fosters creativity, problem solving, and social skills. When left to their own devices, individuals can create these entire worlds and characters and stories. And in the case of World of Warcraft, this type of play is most often seen in the world of role-playing.
I've done a lot of that.
Players immerse themselves in the lore, and they create their own narratives within the game's universe.
Yeah.
In this sense, they're not just playing the game, they're living in it and creating their own stories and adventures as they go along. Instrumental play, on the other hand, while different...
I told y'all about my experience as a role player in World of Warcraft, where I was a priestess who had an alter ego of a rogue who was a pirate, and I was in the Deepwater Pirates, and the Deepwater Pirates was cross-faction, and we had a hideout in Booty Bay, and I had friends in the Pirates roleplay organization that were trolls, and we would communicate on IRC, and we would hang out in the waterfalls of Stranglethorn, and it was awesome.
Is equally valuable. It helps
Remember
develop
that.
specific skill sets, and it fosters critical thinking.
We were
Following
pirates.
rules and working towards a goal and focusing on achieving a particular outcome requires discipline, focus, and perseverance.
Hell yeah.
Gaming.
Yeah.
Gaming.
These skills are crucial both in real life and in these virtual worlds that we
Yeah.
inhabit. And in World of Warcraft, an example of instrumental play would be raiding, where players work together to overcome difficult challenges requiring coordination, strategy, and a deep understanding of the game's mechanics. During the birth of a new movie series or video game or fandom of any sort, exploration and curiosity often overshadow this objective-based play. In other words, free play takes precedence over instrumental play. This is a very natural progression, as the initial thrill lies in the discovery and the novelty of the experience rather than achieving specific outcomes. It's a time when the world feels open and full of possibilities, and where the joy comes from the journey rather than the destination.
Life
Although
before
both
death.
types of play are essential, free play
Journey.
has an advantage, especially in terms of community
Before
dynamics.
destination.
It's less intense because there are no objectives at stake. Without specific goals, the game lacks a competitive edge, which can lead to a more relaxed and welcoming environment. But as time passes and this initial exploration phase ends, the free play dynamic wanes and objective-based play and consequently instrumental play start to take over.
I feel like there is not one or the other here, but there's a spectrum between these two types of play that I feel I will bounce between and around and in between depending on my mood. Like, there are times when maybe I will just run around or try to explore some new places, and do stuff that's less structured and just kind of go in a direction and see what I find. Like, there have been times, especially lately, now that I got handy notes hat on, where I will just fly around a zone and look for stuff on the map to pick up. Like, to me, that's pretty unstructured type of play. But there's also times when maybe I want a little goal, but nothing too intense, like a raid, but something more chill. So in those cases, maybe I will try to get a rare pet or something, like follow a journey to get a rare pet. And I set like a small goal for myself, something that doesn't feel like I'm married to it, but that I could casually pursue. And so it's not necessarily feel like for me one or the other, but there's some gradient between
Where there
these.
once were no conditions to win, the need to achieve victory at all costs begins
Yeah,
to
like-
dominate. The fun is no longer about simply experiencing the dungeon. It's about completing it as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Okay, this is a really good point. Definitely players do get into this
The shift
mindset. And okay, I think I know where he's going with this
Introduces a
video.
level of pressure to perform well and often to impose that same pressure onto teammates. And it's no longer just about enjoying the game. It's about proving your worth, both to yourself and to others.
Don't go in the
Get out
defile.
of the
It's about efficiency.
Come on! Wow.
It is at this point that elitism begins to creep in.
Okay, but look, defile is a really bad example because you cannot stand in the defile, my dude. Like, the defile will expand if you stay. It's really bad. That is one thing you definitely should not do.
Those who don't meet certain standards can be
Come on.
excluded or looked
But
down upon.
Thanks for booting me after I carried you scrubbed through 95% of the instance. Have fun sucking at life. Good luck finding other people you can mooch off of because you're a worthless piece of crap.
Creating an environment that becomes increasingly divisive. And
This
what
is
was
like
once a
what happened
collaborative
with
and
Zepla the other day in the dungeon.
inclusive
Who
experience
booted the guy for glitching out and
is
dying.
now turned into a competitive and exclusionary one. Players who were once welcomed with open arms may find themselves now ostracized or criticized for not meeting the ever-increasing demands of the game and its player base. While game developers don't directly control player behavior, they do largely guide it. As a game becomes more and more solved and the collective interest of the player base shifts towards goal-oriented instrumental play, developers may start implementing systems and features that cater to this new focus. The quality of a player's gear becomes immediately discernible and boiled down to a number, and metrics like what dungeons or raids they've completed and how efficiently they've done so are now built into the game itself. This creates an environment that allows for the immediate filtering of the good players from the bad and the optimal from the suboptimal, and where you once might have taken a player along a dungeon run because they were funny or enjoyable to be around, you now might replace that same player with a personality of Dark Side Phil who does 20% more damage. And though min-max and optimized objective-based gameplay can be fun in its own right, the focus
Okay, so he said...
and of all multiplayer games, focus begins to shift towards
Crap.
it in
Oh,
almost every aspect of the game,
lost
often at the
one.
expense of the community
Shit.
span,
I lost
where you
it.
once might have taken a player along a dungeon run because they were funny or enjoyable to be around, you now might replace that same player with a personality of...
Okay, he said, while you might bring someone along because they're funny or enjoyable to be around, now you might bring someone because they have... Yeah, but you know what? That's a decision you make. You make that decision. When you make a group, it is up to you who you invite and why. Nobody's pushing you into making sure that you make a Black Temple run that's got everybody eye level 600 plus. That's stupid as hell. You don't have to do this. This is a choice you have. You can choose instead to bring in people that are, you know, in your guild, people you know, people who you think are cool, people you think are funny. In fact, usually when I make a Black Temple raid, I go out of my way to invite people that are lower item level. Because why the hell not? It's synced. You only need to be level 30 to do the content. Like this attitude of higher number is always better. It's pointless. It's stupid. You're not doing mythic raiding half the time. I think that people need to get control over their own situations. If you don't like the way the groups are being run, make your own group and run it better. You know, you don't have to, this is not an inevitability. The game doesn't push you inevitably into this mindset of maximum efficiency. It doesn't. You can choose to be less efficient and have fun in the process.
Dark Side Phil, who does 20% more damage. And though min-max and optimized
You don't have to do it. Be the change you want to see. That's what I'm saying.
Gameplay can be fun in its own right, the focus begins to shift towards it in almost every aspect of the game, often at the expense of the...
It does depend the type of content you're doing. Mythic Plus punishes you for being inefficient. True, but it's going to be better if you have a set team and y'all work on those things that will help you together. That's long-term success. That's the path to long-term success. You build relationships with people, you work on your weaknesses, and you improve together. That's a long-term plan for happiness and success. Maybe it's not the short-term, immediate, get it right now, invite the people with the highest score, highest item level right now, and you know, that's a quick fix. That's a short-term solution. But if you're looking to be fulfilled in the big picture, for like it comes down to building relationships with people, and that's something that you need to put effort into, you know.
Community spirit that once defined it, such is the natural course of all multiplayer games, because the problem lies not necessarily with their design as much as it does with our competitive human nature. Yes! Game designers can take measures to slow this process, and there have been documented cases of them doing so, such as in Final Fantasy XIV, another MMO, where damage meters are allowed only for personal use and are against the game's terms of service to broadcast them to other players.
They're not allowed. They're not allowed at all.
players or shame someone for performing some
In Final Fantasy 14, there's a lot of things that are not allowed, but you know, who's gonna do anything about it? They probably won't do anything.
optimally. Where there are choices, there are those that are right and those that are wrong. If there is a win condition, it is possible to lose, and the foundation of World of Warcraft in particular is built upon these fundamentals: player agency and achievements. Even if it isn't directly, the players are competing against one another in some way. Who has the best gear? Who
Actually, Mr. Minoan, I agree with your point. You said the game is promoting you to be optimal and pick better players, because not doing so has a penalty. You can always change the path, but WoW promotes the behavior. I think it is fair to say that WoW promotes the behavior, and working against that is something that requires a personal choice that might not be something that the average person would be aware could have positive long-term benefits that we've been discussing. You know, when you're given a list of players that have applied to your group and they all have a number next to their name that shows like higher number means they're going to do more damage and healing and shit, obviously it makes sense to just invite the people with the highest numbers. This human nature, it makes complete sense. But it sucks. So it kind of sucks. Kind of sucks to do that. It sucks to be on the receiving end of that as well. But what can I say? Like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to give in to the system that's pushing you to choose efficiency over everything else.
does the most damage? Who has the highest parse? Who has more mounts?
You
who has
have
the coolest mount?
autonomy
Who has this
and
cool-looking
agency
rare
here.
armor set? Who has more gold? Who has more achievement points?
You gotta join a guild, straight
solo
up.
characters, PvP ranking, and so on and so forth.
It's a good point.
Your performance in the game is
It's a good point.
directly compared to others playing it. It is an environment crafted specifically for instrumental play, and for all of its strengths, a wholesome community is transitory, existing only for a brief period of time when it is new and the players are preoccupied with experiencing it rather than experiencing it correctly. Such is the fate of not only World of Warcraft, but of most MMORPGs and, by extension, most
I think
multiplayer games.
Most
The
games
answer
are going to be
why
like that.
The World of Warcraft community has become toxic, at least in part, lies in the passage of time.
Tears. Oh, it's gorgeous.
What's
And
wrong
all
with
forms
this
of ac-
person having an emotional reaction to the video? I think it was a pretty awesome, it was a good trailer. So what's the issue here?
Entertainment, not just MMOs, and not even just video games.
I guess it's not pointing out an issue, it's just showing that
There's
he's
a certain measure of investment that comes
invested.
from three key resources: money, time, and emotion. These three elements are the foundation of our engagement with the things that we love, and they play a significant role in shaping our experiences and our communities. You pay your hard-earned money to play the game, to watch the movie, to attend a sporting event, and you spend your valuable time
Oh my
interacting with
God.
it, investing.
I did this at PreachCon. Look. Shit. The autofocus isn't gonna let you see the guy that I painted. Maybe. Yeah. Oh my God, I had so much fun doing this. We're getting off track though. Sorry.
Countless hours into whatever form of entertainment that you're passionate about. And over time, if you enjoy it enough, you might even become emotionally attached to it in some significant way. And it's this emotional investment is what most often makes these experiences meaningful and memorable. But it can also be the source of conflict and tension within communities. Time and money are straightforward. You spend them and they're gone. But emotion is where things get more complicated. Most of us are guilty of reminiscing fondly about that nostalgic game series from our childhoods, or that unforgettable football game we attended, or maybe perhaps when we first saw Star Wars on the big screen. These experiences evoke strong emotional responses, and we carry them with us long after the event has passed. They become a part of who we are.
Definitely.
And they help shape our identities.
I definitely feel really emotional about the games that I've invested so much time and money and just care into, because it becomes like something that reminds you of different times in your life and the people that you played these games with. You know, I have an emotional attachment to the Zelda franchise because it reminds me of my brother and me playing video games with my brother when we were little. And the same reason I feel that way about Halo, which we used to play together. It's like, it's a thing you did, and it just can remind you of a different time and a different place. You know, there's so much that these games are often like companions on our life journeys. And so it's hard not to think of them as friends. Like sometimes a friend that I've, you know, as I mentioned earlier, I've leaned on when the going got tough. And that because of that friend in the form of a game, I felt like I was able to keep going when I thought maybe I couldn't. It gave me the strength to keep going. It gave me the strength to just enjoy something and have things to look forward to when life at the time was pretty grim. So of course you have an emotional attachment to these things. But at the same time, it's probably one of the most difficult things that we face as gamers that get passionate about these things is remembering that it's a product. And that's really hard. That can be really hard because over the years, it can start to feel like so much more than that. But at the end of the day, it is product that you're a consumer.
And relationships with others. MMOs, however, are a unique case. They are a particularly hardcore genre of game in terms of investment. They're expensive, requiring expansions every couple of years. World of Warcraft, for instance, still has a monthly subscription fee just to play, on top of a pretty intense cash shop for cosmetics and progression. Told you so, by the way. It's a financial commitment that not every gamer is willing or able to make, but for those who do, it's a significant investment. The genre is also incredibly time-consuming. MMOs are built on the foundation that there is no end, that the content is continuously added in order to keep players engaged.
I don't know if they're that time consuming nowadays. Like, I don't completely agree that this logic still applies. I think it might have applied 10, 20 years ago, but nowadays MMOs have changed. They are changing, and the modern MMO ecosystem is starting to adapt to the fact people just don't have the kind of time that they used to. Like, with Delves right now in War Within, you can spend an hour or less in Delves and have a pretty good vault slot available each week. 1 hour in the game in a week. I don't think that's asking a whole lot. Okay. And we all know Final Fantasy XIV definitely doesn't demand a lot of your time. That's actually one of the big complaints people have right now. So I feel like this has kind of changed. Yes, it is a game that is a live service. It's meant to keep providing you content over time, but you absolutely don't have to do everything in it. You do not have to chase every carrot that there is. You can just do what you want, and then, you know, it doesn't have you by the balls anymore.
More importantly, subscribed. World of Warcraft, for example, just released its 10th expansion and will be celebrating its 20th anniversary
I
this
mean,
November.
look, it's a subscription
players have been
service is
playing
meant
it.
to provide you with stuff to do. Yeah, that's why you pay every month. You're looking for stuff to do for that month of time that you played.
For the
paid
entirety
for it.
of the game's lifespan, dedicating years of their lives and thousands of dollars to exploring Azeroth and all it has to offer. 20 years of memories, trials, tribulations, successes, failures, friends, enemies, and emotional investment. For many, World of Warcraft has become more than just a game. It's a comfort activity, a consistent and everyday part of their lives that provides a sense of stability in a world that is often unpredictable and chaotic. It's
Yes,
something
I agree.
that they can rely on.
Yes.
It's something that's been there through the good times and the bad.
Yes.
And this deep connection only strengthens their investment into the game.
That's right.
Time, money, and emotion. This intense investment creates an equally intense community where some players attach their identity to the game, while on the other hand, perhaps due to its addictive nature, have attached their identity to disliking it. As stated, MMOs are built upon the fundamental principle of change. New features, systems, classes, land masses, and so on are constantly introduced, removed, or otherwise altered for better or for worse. And the result is a community that is often at odds with itself, divided between those who love the game and those who love to hate what it has become. In recent years, there's been a lot of negativity surrounding Blizzard, the developer for World of Warcraft, from laying off a record number of employees after a record-breaking fiscal financial quarter, to releasing unfinished games, facing human rights controversies, poor expansion releases, and even lawsuits. Blizzard has been thrust into a whirlwind of controversy. This has led to an abundance of criticism.
I feel like they bounced
and
back from this pretty
negativity,
well.
with Blizzard becoming something of a punching bag for journalists and documentarians and the gaming community as a whole.
I mean,
and while much of it is deserved,
yeah, they deserve to be criticized for that shit. And I do think that they got their shit together, as is evidenced by Dragonflight and now War Within. The proof is in the pudding way, as I like to say. And it does seem like they have had a come to Jesus moment after all of this stuff went down. And I can see that they've started to listen better. So things are looking up. But I mean, yes, a lot of this criticism and hate and backlash that they got was justified. But it's true that many people do like it. They just like hating. They're haters. But that's never going to change. Let me tell you something. These people that are haters and just love hating, they were like that before. Okay.
Fantastic.
They're always going to be there. They were there before there was something actual to hate. They were there when there was something valid to hate. And they're still there right now hating on shit that doesn't even need to be hated on. Because that's what they do. They're haters. That's who they are. It just so happens that if there is valid problems, then those people, their voices get amplified. If there's not valid problems, then everybody tells those people to shut the fuck up. But they never go away. They don't leave.
This constant barrage of criticism has also created a bandwagon effect where much of this negativity surrounding the game and the developer is either overdone or done in bad faith. It has long since reached a point where there's now pushback, with longtime fans of the game who have invested so much of themselves into it, fighting back with what they perceive as
that's the other side of the coin too. We were laughing about that the other day. Man, people are quick to defend a multi-billion-dollar company.
Personal toxicity.
That's true.
This defensiveness is understandable, but it also contributes to the toxic environment that has become synonymous with the game.
Solid
this phenomenon isn't unique to World of Warcraft. It's true of any long-running game or series, but it's particularly pronounced in MMOs due to the intense time and financial commitments required. It's not just
Why are you showing Final Fantasy 14 online? What are you suggesting? Are you suggesting Final Fantasy 14 online players have a hard time listening to constructive feedback about their game? No way. I don't believe it.
random Call of Duty match. It's an adventure that spans decades for some
Can't
players.
be.
There's so much more to attach yourself to in the MMO genre, which makes the community dynamics even more charged, and therefore the potential for toxicity even higher.
Game is
And
perfect.
the result is a mix of toxic positivity and toxic negativity. The fanboys versus the haters.
Yeah.
Those who treat the game like a girlfriend
Yeah.
versus those who treat it like an ex-girlfriend.
You gotta treat the game like an open relationship. It's complicated.
Meanwhile, a potential new player who is
Free
ignorant
love, man.
of all of this looks on in confusion and embarrassment. World of Warcraft, League of Legends, Dota, Counter-Strike, these are games and franchises that have been around longer than some of you have been alive. They've become staples, comforts, and significant parts of the player base's identity.
Games have been around for longer than some people have been alive. From the time when I first started farming for Time Lost Proto Drake, someone could have been born on that day when I first started camping it. They could have grown up, gone to school, installed World of Warcraft, and gotten Time Lost Proto Drake before I actually did 14 years later. I think about that a lot.
When you combine this with the shift from free play to instrumental play and the hyper optimization and metagaming that follows, it creates an environment that many today consider to be toxic and unwelcoming. And while the nature and structure of these games plays a role, what's truly responsible...
The nature and structure of the games does play a role. But if you want the game to be more welcoming, guess what you gotta do? Be more welcoming. You got to do that.
For the decline in the quality of these communities is our competitive human nature.
You have to
and
add
our
the welcoming
tendency to
vibes.
invest too much.
That's what people offer each other. People offer each other the sense of belonging and welcoming and, hi, come play with me. Let's learn together. Hey, it's all right that you messed up. We'll go again. It's that simple.
Much of ourselves into our passions, whether that be movies, sports, TV shows, or video games like World of Warcraft. The problem is the same. It's not just about the games themselves, it's about how we as people interact with them and the communities that form.
What is going, this is so sad. Oh my Lord, 2012. Look, 2012 was a pretty long time ago, right? It's 2024 already. You don't need to be like this. Just join only, Buns.
Around them.
Well, I really liked the video. It was fantastic. It was extremely well written. It was thought-provoking. It was philosophical. It had some basis in games, like the psychology of playing video games. And I just love this kind of stuff. What a great video. Amazing. Mad Season Show has always been a fantastic creator and continues to be one. It was good. It was really good. But really, join a guild. If you're sad and lonely, join a guild. Join my guild, actually, if you want to. But you don't have to, but you should. Yeah. It was a really good video. Especially the part about the ball trimming. Whoo! Here is, I think that what we can do is promote an atmosphere of, you know, kindness and patience and stuff like that. But yeah, what I was going to say is I did Black Temple yesterday. And let me tell you, it was a disaster when we got to Illidan because nobody knew what the hell to do on Illidan. Apparently, everybody that had been in the raid, either it was their first time or every other time that they killed Illidan, they blasted through and didn't have to learn the mechanics. But with our particular raid, we had a situation where we needed to learn what Illidan actually does. And we tried some stupid shit that did not work at first. First, someone's like, oh, just stack on the tank for the elementals. Horrible idea that we did try. Guess what? The elementals leave behind green fire that will one-shot you. We learned that the hard way. And then someone's like, okay, we'll just follow around the tank, around the elementals. And the tank doesn't move, but people are still stacking on the tank. So we died again. And then somebody's like, okay, so we're going to split the group into two, and half the group go on one elemental, and the other half goes on the other elemental, and this didn't work either. And then the tank left, and we're like, oh God, what do we do? So we only had one tank leap, but you know what happened? Because we were promoting an environment of kindness and understanding in the raid.
Optimus Prime.
And people weren't shouting at each other. People weren't at each other's throats. And this was mostly pug group. Like there was a couple of buns in it, but it was mostly pug. People were like, okay, well, how do we do things differently next time? So someone said, I have an idea. Let's loosely spread in the middle. We'll nuke down the right ad. We'll use Bloodlust on the elementals, and then we'll attack the left one. And we all calmly came to a new strategy, which worked. And we killed it. And at the end, do you know what people said? Thank you for your patience. And thank you for your willingness to learn. That's actually, this is a real thing that happened. I swear to you, this really happened yesterday. I'm not making it up. There were buns there that can confirm that this really happened. And so I don't want to hear people say that this kind of stuff never happens. It does. And I think the reason that it happens now is because we are getting older. World of Warcraft players are getting older. And because of that, World of Warcraft players are also getting more patient than they were before. Yeah. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. More patient, more willing to listen, less willing to start a fight. Yes, mature and demure. Yes, that's what I'm saying. But I also think that if you have other people behaving a certain way and not flying off the handle, not flying off the rails, being patient, offering normal advice, acting like normal people, other people do follow suit. What I've seen is that in general, people are most likely to fly off the rails and lose their damn minds when they feel threatened. They feel like other people are mad, so they've got to get mad defensively. You don't have to do this at all. Nobody has to do this. So, yes, I've had some toxic experiences, but most people don't even want to deal with that. Most people just want to log in and have a good time. I'll tell you something else that happened recently. This was a couple of weeks ago. I was in a random dungeon group, and there was a guy in there being a gigantic butthole. But nobody wanted to replace him because we just wanted to get through the dungeon and forget about it. Well, he DC'd or something. And he was gone. And as soon as that guy was gone, everybody else was like, whoa, what a relief. Thank goodness. Thank goodness that butthole who's trying to rush us through the dungeon is finally gone. Everyone's like, yeah, really. So you might be thinking the same thing as other people. If you do find a butthole in your group, it's probably just one guy and nobody else wants to deal with that bullshit. It's usually not everybody. Think about that too.
Must be protected.
I just think that
Begin speaking.
I don't want people to get into this mindset of I expect every dungeon to have toxic people in it. I expect every raid to be toxic. This is a toxic community. Because if you get into that mindset, that's what you're gonna find. It's like when all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. If you get into this idea of the game is toxic, everybody is mean, that's what you're gonna keep finding because you're gonna be looking for it without even realizing that's what you're looking for. You're setting yourself up for failure there. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, it definitely does, but you have the community, you as a player, and the people you choose to play with, you have more power over this than you realize. A lot more.
I will see you through the
The tone you set in the dungeon, people you choose to go in with, and what you tolerate from people as well. You can absolutely lay down the law and say, hey, you're being a butthole, I'll remove you right now. Make your own group and set your own rules. I don't think we should become complacent and expect it and just be like, oh, well, it's just toxic games, so that's just how it's gonna be. I don't think that's right. Don't let them win dirty. Yeah. You gotta fight for good in this world. Good things don't just happen. That's what I've learned in my life. Good things, nice things, they don't just happen automatically. You have to do it. You have to put in the work and effort and time. You have to make it a nice place to be.